Hi there, it's Sandy, your sister and your friend. Welcome to today's video. I'm always saying that I'm just giving you a look into my life and how do I deal with life and life's adventures and life's things that happen in life, happenings we'll call them. And so today is a picture of that. This is Friday. I don't know what date it is actually, but it's the Friday after Mother's Day, 2024, and Mother's Day in the United States. I know that different countries celebrate at different weekends. So last Sunday evening on Mother's Day, we had some friends and family over, and I stepped on something on the floor in the kitchen that I didn't know was there, and my feet slid out from under me and I hit the tile floor pretty hard. And in doing so, I managed to fracture my humerus bone, with the head of the humerus, which is the bone that goes from your elbow up to your shoulder. And I fractured it in two places, and I landed on both knees and both wrists and managed to sprain my right wrist. So I didn't know any of that at the time. I just knew I was in excruciating pain. And so I could not actually even get up off the floor. The pain in my shoulder was so severe. I didn't really know what I had done there, but I knew there was something that I had damaged in the process of falling. So we ended up having the emergency personnel come out with an ambulance and put me on a stretcher and get me into the hospital. And then I had to wait about an hour before I was able to be seen by a doctor. Now, on the trip to the hospital, the emergency personnel had offered to give me, they put an IV in and gave me something for nausea, since I felt very nauseated from the fall and the trauma, and had offered to give me a narcotic drug. Well, I knew from my previous experience with surgery last year that I don't do well with narcotics, and they make me too nauseated. So I said, no, thank you. So I was in the emergency vehicle, and then when they transported me into the hospital, without any pain medicine at all. Now, still, every time they would move me or jostle or hit a bump in the road, there would just be excruciating pain here in my elbow. And of course, my knees and my wrists hurt as well, but nothing like this. But anyway, so we get into the hallway, and I asked the nurse, is it possible just to get ibuprofen for pain? And they said, no, not until you're seen by the doctor. And the doctor's going to examine you and then order some x-rays and see what exactly is going on inside your skeleton. And so, so when I was finally seen but in the meantime, while I was there on the stretcher in the hallway in the emergency hospital, they didn't have a room, all the rooms were full. I was lying there, and I thought, I know I'm not a body. So I started applying all the things that I talk about, that I believe, and that I see as a different level of awareness. And so I started applying those things while I'm lying there on the stretcher. And I thought, I'm not a body. I am higher consciousness, and I know that, and I don't need to be, even though I know that this is a painful thing that my body is going through, I'm not pushing against that. I'm not saying that I'm not experiencing it, because I am, but this experience doesn't need to take precedence over knowing who I am, and knowing who I am as conscious awareness in heaven, still as the true self, never having left heaven. And that awareness, that going to that place of awareness, I literally could feel myself transcending the pain. So the pain probably was still there, but that's not my experience. Now I'm lying on the stretcher. Nothing has changed in my environment, and I am now not feeling pain here in my shoulder and in the other places. And so my daughter was there with me, and I started talking about conscious awareness. And I was like, this really helps me to express to you what I'm going through and how I'm dealing with the trauma. It was very traumatic to fall and find myself in excruciating pain. So that was a traumatic event. I knew I had just gone through that, and that there was a painful outcome to that trauma. But as I started telling her about how we can transcend and how this is actually helping, she's like, I can tell, Mom, it's really helping you. And so there was something about me saying words out loud to myself that I was hearing, myself confirming to myself that this was not, this bodily experience wasn't going to take precedence over my true knowledge of my reality. So I had to go through, the doctor examined me, I had to go into to the x-ray machine. They had to like maneuver, change positions of my shoulder and my knees, my wrists, so they could take various x-rays. And each thing, was kind of a shock because of the pain involved in moving parts of my body that had that I had just injured. So what I wanted to say is that the experience there in the hospital could have been really different, but I decided to have a different experience. And the experience was to reframe the pain, was to transcend the pain. At that point, it was really a transcendent process of transcending it and knowing that my reality was different than this physical experience. And so I got home. They finally gave me some ibuprofen just before I left the hospital. No narcotics because I didn't want any of that. And so I went home with that. 3 days, that was Sunday night. So on Wednesday, I saw a surgeon, an orthopedic surgeon, who looked at the x-rays and took a couple more x-rays and verified that my humerus bone was still in the shoulder socket, which was good news. That means that the body with a sling on, I guess you can see the sling, that my hand is in a sling here, that this is the way your body heals itself if it's getting support in a sling. And then I just needed this brace for the contusion here on my right wrist, or the sprain on my right wrist. So once he told me that I could start moving my arm, and he showed me some things to do, like flipping my hand back, top to bottom. And I was like, okay. So it was really painful when he was doing it with me there in the hospital. And then like you would do a bicep curl of bending your arm up to your shoulder. But I needed to have his permission that these were in fact movements that I could make. And then he did another one, which was moving my arm out from my body. I'm trying to get back so you can see it, and then moving it back. That was very, very painful, and he had to like support my elbow while I was doing that. My arm was out of the sling at the time. So I've come home. That was on Wednesday. This is Friday, and I started doing these exercises. And what I discovered is that I had reframed the pain that's associated with the exercises that are going to help my shoulder heal. That my body knows how to rebuild bone, that these two fractures, how to rebuild them. One fracture actually is kind of split off from the humerus, but my body, because there's blood going into these bones, it knows how to rebuild the bone. But by me moving my hand and arm in the sling, that increases the blood supply. So I told a friend this morning, just out of the blue, I said, instead of when I move my arm and it hurts, instead of me going, ow, 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 I'm going in my mind, wow, wow, wow. That's my body knowing how to rebuild the bone. So I'm actually, what I feel is discomfort, I had called pain before, I'm now calling it the healing process. So the healing process is rebuilding the things that got broken when I fell on the floor. And that's really helping me, because now I have a picture. I know I'm going through this episode. This is not my ending point. I know, absolutely guaranteed, I've already seen myself in my imagination being completely healed of this. being able to fully use my arm and shoulder again. And so I see it. I feel the feelings of knowing that I'm back in the gym. I'm lifting weights again. I'm doing those things that I know protect my body. That I see that and I feel that. And I actually knew from the very beginning when I was in the emergency room that I have friends who are trained in something in energy healing called healing touch. And I knew that by them doing energy work on my body, even if I wasn't in their presence, by them doing it on me remotely, that that was going to be a part of my healing process. And another big part of it was being able to set my intention to be completely restored and healed from this. That I set that as my intention. I relaxed into that knowing of that, and knowing that I had people who were going to be praying for me, and who actually were moving things around and doing things energetically to help me heal. So that has been my experience so far. As I say, I'm on the 5th day of this process, and I'll keep you posted, because you'll see hopefully in a week or so I'll have this brace off, and we'll see when I start physical therapy. But again, wow, that's my body feeling some discomfort, because I'm sending healing energy and blood supply and everything into the shoulder, into these fractures, for them to heal properly. So I just wanted you to know that that's been my experience. I want you to know everything I'm going through. I don't know exactly why this came into my life. Maybe maybe it's because I was ready to deal with it. I'm not really sure, but I'm certainly dealing with it differently than I would if I wasn't waking up to my true reality. So that's it. I love you so much. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the like button. Share this. If you know of somebody who's going through something that's painful for them, that's traumatic for them, this might be so encouraging. I hope it encourages you. It encourages me to actually listen to it myself. So thank you so much. I love you. Go and have a blessed rest of the day. Bye-bye.